come in board. The matter is due again for hearing September 2016, by which time the current NHC administration is to respond. So we came into government in the middle of a fiasco left by the previous government. Now remember, that was 58 acres of land owned by the government. We were not owing nobody on the land. That was land owned by the government.
And to be converted into 229 residential lots.
And all of a sudden now, a foreign company owns 51% of the 58 acres of land, and they have not spent a cent.
No, but how is that possible, Mr. Minister? Something that is owned by the government becomes a private company becomes the owner.
You remember what I told you all in Parliament? That Labour Party put construction in reverse. Well, we own land, and all of a sudden we did not own the land again. Right. We had to go back and buy the land that we owned,
that you had before.
And we did not sell it.
Yeah. It's simply what is called a bad deal. It's just a very bad agreement, bad investment that really was highly
let me give you the rest of this so that St. Lucia can understand what passes for governance from the St. Lucia Labour Party. MD and attorney Rene St. Rose has since apprised the minister of this priority matter, which subsequent meetings was held. So I became the minister. That is what I was greeted with as minister responsible for housing. And yes, Miss Rene St. Rose came to my office, that was still on Jeremy Street, and sat with me and gave me a rundown of the fiasco that NHC had found itself in with Beaupanel. Now, who's Beaupanel? A British. So NHC versus Beaupanel Systems, Peter I. Foster and Associates, G.R. Williams paid to date $15,000. In 2012, the NHC completed the formation of a joint venture company, JVC, which was initially being pursued by the former NHC administration leading up to the November 2011 elections. I like to put all the facts as it is there. The previous NHC had been exploring the possibility of a joint venture with NHC Bo. But that had not happened. With the formation of a company, NHC Bo was, so it says, leading up to November 2011 general elections. With the formation of a company, the NHC was afforded 49% share ownership, with Beaupanel Systems being awarded 51%. As per agreement, upon the committing of the land, there was to be a compensatory arrangement wherein the developer, Beaupanel Systems, would place in escrow the raw market value of the land at the point of the JVC being in receipt of the property. So here's what the deal was. They were supposed to put a down payment in an escrow account of the value of their share. So 51% of 58 acres, 27 and 28, 29. So let's say they would have had about 30 acres of land as their share. They were supposed to put in an escrow account an amount of money before the land was transferred to them. That never happened. Did we find that money anywhere when we came in?
No.
That money did not exist. So if they gave the money, because I don't want to believe that the government of the day really transferred that amount of money and that amount of land and the money was not put
No
in an
money.
escrow account. So, but we have never found that escrow account. Up to now, we don't know where the money was paid and who received the money. So, if there's an escrow account, because I know there are other accounts that involve other persons within the Labour Party today that the government did not know about. You heard about the account that was Jufali and some
Yes,
other
yes,
person signed in
yes,
some,
that's right.
had some
We
account
cannot
that
find
the
it.
government, the accountant general, the director of finance, the PS of finance, nobody knew. So we don't know how many accounts the Labour Party was running. So I want people to understand what I'm saying there. The land measuring 58 acres was to exclude 6 acres of land already in occupation by farmers, plus the extraction of a reserved portion of land upon which an estate home exists to be vested in the St. Lucia National Trust. Needless to say, the entire property was transferred with no escrow account as per agreement being satisfied. Disagreements between directors and failure by Bopanel to capitalize the project prompted the need for legal action. So here's the thing, Champagne. The government goes into an arrangement. By themselves, nobody didn't force them, transfers the land to NHC-BO, and now paying over $200,000 in lawyers' fees to get back the land that was already theirs.
That is some bad math.
No, it's some mad fellas that was involved.
Okay.
I have to say that this Labour Party government they have to be mad. I mean, Champagne, Tea se sa ou,
Yes.
ou baya mouni.
Oui.
Moun nan te suppose pay ou bay tea, ou bay papier tea, ou transfer bali, avant ba l'argent, et après ça pa pay ou pou ay pay avocat, pou ay l'audience, pou try joindre tea aviye. But your land was yours. All you had to do was make sure that the land stays on your name until the money is deposited in the escrow account. Simple. Let me read just the last part. Peter I. Foster and Associates had been proceeding to dissolve the company and to seek from the courts the property being returned to the state. So you see that nonsense that Labour Party has done. E ka moun ka di me yo kay ale jou eleksyon, yo kay vote by même se moun sa pou me yo vi an gouvernement. So where was Philip J. Pierre? Where was Kenny Anthony? Who facilitates the transfer of land? Crown lands to be transferred must come to cabinet. You cannot just transfer crown lands to somebody. So attorney Gerald R. Williams is representing the NHC interest in the joint venture. Success in the NHC recovering the assets hinges on the outcome of the current NHC versus Master Builders court case, in which the inhibition by the court over the entire 58 acres of the property has been registered. The claimant has a physical presence of plant, office machinery and equipment on this prime property. Now, you realize that there was a section, there was a portion of it that was to go to the National Trust. Did the National Trust ever claim it?
Never claim.
Mais demain, là, yo kay un housing project kay fait là. Yo kay vin faire des agreements avec Jean Setlisi.
You got claim.
Ek di, say yo, you see, that is just one, you know.
That's right.
So you know what ended up happening to us. So the matter went to court. The court ordered the government to pay over $6 million. So the 4-point-something million plus interest. All the man did work. All you had to do was pay the man. You try and pay lawyers. You made a bad deal with NHC-BO. The fellas never came through with a cent, never built a house, never sent material to St. Lucia to build a house. And look at that. Te akite san nou. Now I want all St. Lucians to understand that. When you want to put the Labour Party in charge of your business, you remember what they did with Rochamel? They went and they paid the fees for who? Friendwell. They paid, Friendwell took a loan, go and negotiate the loan with the bank. That had nothing to do with the government of St. Lucia. Bought shares in the hotel, Pigeon Point Hotel, and then the government came to Parliament and took a loan to pay for Friendwell.
Yeah.
NHC Bo, the land belonged to us. They took the land, put it in the company, never collected the money from the company, and now going and pay lawyers to go to court. And rather than paying the man who did his work and was rightfully entitled, so if you want to dismiss the man, value the work he had done on the ground, pay him and let him go his way, and then do your business. So right now, Punute Juente Avie, for us to gain back the 58 acres of land, you know what we had to do? We now have to pay the company that was doing the roads over $6 million to get back our land. And when I tell the people of St. Lucia, the Labour Party works in reverse. Everything they inherit that is good, they make it worse than they got it. Now you are chairman of at that time. I mean, how did we find ourselves there? No, when I say when you became chairman and we found ourselves in that situation, how could you are a developer, you are investor. How could something like that happen?
Yeah, it becomes very, very difficult, and really and truly it tied up. And Champagne, what I would want you to do tonight, that is 6 million. So just start adding up, because there are others to come.
There's more?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more.
You know, gentlemen, this thing is very serious. Not understand, Lucian
Yes.
people listening to this thing, maybe some people may take it as if it's a joke, but this is serious. You're talking about the people's land, and then the people's money, because this government came in and inherited that mess.
Right.
They didn't know anything about it, and they had to be paying the money.
Correct. So on one side, you could put $6 million, a number of lots available to St. Lucians, 0. Okay? So and we'll go and tally it over the night as we go along. And because of the interest of time, we will move on. So you think that they would learn from this situation? The government had to spend over $6 million to get that property
the land
back.
they own.
And
Your own land, you have to go back and buy it.
Yeah.
and not a single person in St. Lucia got to buy, or one parcel of land was developed there. So $6 million, 0 properties available for St. Lucians. You think that they would have learned from this, right? They went into another agreement with another company called Livity Group, right? And who are the directors of Livity Group? The same failed joint venture with NHC Bo. The main director of NHC Bo becomes the key director in Livity Group.
Boy, this thing.
Okay?
If that is not corruption, what is corruption?
Yeah. Copy and paste agreement. Agreement dated March 24th, 2015. Same directors. Okay? All right? And I mean, I can name one director. It's clear. Charles Broomfield. Same director in NHC Bo joint venture.
Yeah.
Same director in Livity Group. Right? Okay, same arrangement, same requirement to transfer land with 51% shares to the foreign company.
Again.
Right? Same email address, same declared registered office as the previous company. Yet another failed agreement. Right? And Livity Group was supposed to get land transferred before they do any form of development. Luckily for us, if you look at the date, March 24th, 2015, about a year before election. So whereas the first agreement in NHC was in 2012, this one was 3 years later. So elections came, we came in and we were able to halt that arrangement. Fortunately for us, no lands were transferred to that entity, and we were able to save face with that arrangement. But yet another arrangement that went down. And when we get into Talvan, I will give you all the details of Talvan and where it went there. But before we go into Talvan, Mr. Minister, permit me to probably go into Forest there, if you mind.
Yes, just before you go into Forest there, what I want to say here, Champagne, the Labour Party is quick to call people crooked. And they believe that if they call you crooked and corrupt and this and that, this will divert attention from them. I want St. Lucians to
Yeah, they have to
understand.
listen to what's happening.
These are the same people presenting themselves to be re-elected.
Yes.
And as you heard from Mr. Mangal, how could you? You went into that first arrangement. So you telling me that nobody in the Labour Party would have benefited from that arrangement, and you still going into a new arrangement?
Exactly.
Any right-thinking St. Lucian would think that that is the case. So I suspect we may have to do 2 programs, but let's go to Forestier and see what happens.
Yes.
And before he goes to Forestier, let me tell you what happened. I was parliamentary representative. We were in government when we acquired that property in Forestier. We had put the entire process in motion. We lost the elections. The Labour Party came. And for the 5 years, I remember Stanley Felix was the minister at the time. He came up to Forestier and he had a meeting with the community. I was present at the meeting as the parliamentary rep for the area. The meeting was held at the Forestier School. And you know the plan was to go into a similar arrangement with the lands in Forestier, with a developer. And you know what the plan was? That was going to be kind of a high-end development, not for the community. When the land was acquired specifically for expansion of the community and for young people in the community. And if you go to Forestier today, you will see the number of houses being built by young persons, first-time homeowners.
Yes.
But Mangal was the chief architect of making that Forestier project happen. I'll allow him to speak about it.
When we came in, Champagne, we found that there was a plan, a drawing, just like the minister said, that they had some intentions to develop Forestier. But the plan we found was for 43 lots, right? And the access, I don't know if you know the top of the hill by Stanley's, by that shop. The access to the development would have been at that top, at that brow. So imagine you coming out of that development and somebody's coming up the hill.
Yeah,
it's a totally blind spot.
You wouldn't see.
You would not see, that person would not see you. It was basically catastrophe, an accident waiting to happen. So we saw that deficiency. We changed the plan completely. We acquired 3 additional acres of land, which allowed us to change the access, bring it lower down in the flat area. So in that flat area there where the access is presently, there's proper visibility.
Yeah,
so
that's why you have that road to the right.
Correct. So you could see everything that's coming, everything could see out of the way. We were able, with that additional space, to move this project from 43 lots to a total of 63 lots.
Wow.
Plus, we had a lot for a church, institutional. We had 2 commercial lots, and we also had a lot for a human resource development center and a full-size playing field, plus the playing field. When we mapped out on the ground what was the playing field, the minister called me right away and said, are these fellas bad? Because we were just laying out what was on the original plan before we make the necessary changes. There was a very small playing field. We were able to upgrade the space of that playing field to what it is presently.
And create a buffer.
And we created a buffer of 50 feet right round. So there's a buffer which allows you to have stands in the future, lighting and so on. And if you look at the piece, it's actually at a gradient where you could have the natural stands without even putting benches there and so on. So all of that was in the design. And you know the church was right next to the playing field. So you had a conflicting activity. If there's football or, while there is church, what would happen? So we had to remove the church site from where it was and put it in another location. And all of that, we had engaged a developer, a contractor, and that project cost $3 million. That developer decided to work with us and said, listen, despite the changes, we are not increasing the road network because of the change, so he will not charge $1 extra. So the project cost remained at $3 million, and we were able to execute this project. What does it mean? It meant that we were able to develop lands at $6 a square foot. right? So that is the price we pay for every square foot of land that was developed, if you factor that over the playing field area and over the church site area. Now, if you want to say, okay, let's minus the playing field and let's minus the church because those lands are not available to other persons for purchase, it would have increased the cost to $8 per square foot. The last development done by the National Housing Corporation, which was the Marigo Housing Development, you want to know how much it cost per square foot? Over $15. And that was before the Forestier Housing Project. Look at the condition of Marigo. We had what was called cheap and spray. You had major faults that you had to go back and repair. Look at the Forestier Housing Project with its superior quality infrastructure. We have concrete roads inside of it. We have concrete drains without blocks, cast institute. Okay? We have proper infrastructure in there. And mind you, you know that this is the first development ever done by the National Housing Corporation where the Ministry of Infrastructure came in and took over. Now, let me explain to you the process of taking over a development. You realize in St. Lucia, all over the place, you have private developers who did developments. They sold the land and they left the road in poor condition. Yes. Then for years, people are clamoring and the central government have to come in and sometimes assist in repairing those roads. It is not the responsibility of central government because those private developers collected money and they did not meet the obligations in putting the proper infrastructure. So the Development Control Authority, recognizing that loophole, has sought to address it in providing many options. If you develop in land now as a private developer, you can either put in the infrastructure and when it is accepted, then they allow you to sell. Or if you want to sell without infrastructure in place, you have to sign up to a bond arrangement and so on. So the NHC projects before, including Marigo, never met those requirements and was not taken up by the Ministry of Infrastructure, right? Forestier, on the other hand, when we came in as a board and we signed that agreement with the developer, we said, listen, we're not paying you a penny, not until you are able to get us all the various approvals. And that was his responsibility. So we would not pay the final amounts to him. We would not pay any amount until those approvals are done. And he went in, did the necessary works, and I can tell you that the Ministry of Infrastructure has taken over that development. You could see the quality. They've had no reason to go in and do any repairs. However, if there are any repairs to be done in that development, it becomes the responsibility of central government because we would have met all the approvals and all the requirements that are required to be able to bring that development into standard. And Champagne, that project, which basically which is a PPP, private-public partnership arrangement, that was done, became the model. It really became the model, and you'll see there are other projects that I'm going to unveil tonight and talk to you about, and to see where we are with those projects. But Forestier, that is the situation with Forestier. We actually averted what was going to be a disaster and came in, make the necessary changes. And that's why I tell you, Champagne, when I am committed to something, I stay committed to it. Right? Remember, there was a time I think the Labour Party, candidate for that area went on national television and say, we are building Forestier without DCA approval. And I was able to come and show that we had DCA approval. I remember that time you showed that. Because you know what? The hours to get the necessary changes on DCA approval was put in by myself and another young gentleman on the board named Kershik Charles, who's a brilliant brilliant technician. We didn't wait for other persons to do it. We didn't even wait for the staff to do it. We did it done so quickly. And I can tell you that NHC doesn't really have the requisite technical staff to be able to do that quality. So when we saw that, we decided, you know what, we just took it on our own on weekends and nighttime, and we did it ourselves without charging a penny to the corporation. And that's why we were able to move in 2 months, just 2 months after the general election. We were able to start Forestier. And you know how long Forestier took to finish? 6 months. 6 months.
So we could understand why it was said that when you came in as the chairman of NHC that there was no money.
That's correct.
We heard that.
That's correct.
But let me say this, Champagne. I think it must not be lost on the people of St. Lucia, the point made by Mr. Mangal in relation to, if the Marigo project cost about $15 a square foot. Look at how many years later Forestier was done. I don't think when Marigo was done, VAT was even part of the equation. The increase of price and the superior work that was done. So when people will come, and I have no fear about speaking about these things, when people will come and accuse Fresh Start and say, oh, this is my company and this is this and this is that, I have no fear in coming and speak about these things, because when I was a child growing up, Hippolyte equipment existed.
That's right.
Building roads in St. Lucia. You think today I have the capacity to own Hippolyte equipment?
No way.
When Hippolyte equipment was a leading company. Now companies rebrand themselves.
That's right.
They evolve after a period of time. One company that was known as that, they may change. And so, but let's put the politics aside. Show me one developer in St. Lucia who could have done that development at $6 a square foot and give you the quality of output that you have there on a project like this. And the project was done within budget, on time, and all the lots are sold. I am so pleased to see the houses that are going up there. I've told them, they talk about Cap Estate, that I want to leave Cap Estate. I don't want to leave Cap Estate. I tell them we're naming that housing project Forest State.
Forest State, that's right.
Yes.
That's a good name.
Forest State.
It's really nice up there. It's really nice.
Yes, so, but people must not lose sight of the fact that sometimes people play politics and they come and give you information that is convenient. I want some of the talk show hosts who speak very loud.
Yeah.
Some of them, it happened under their watch. I want them to challenge the price at which Forestier was done. Now, look at the distance. So to buy material from the quarry, where would it be further to transport? Marigo or Forestier? Look at the amount of hills. Look at the road conditions. Look at all of the factors that are involved. So that is just one project. And that was done very successfully. And we were able to do that in record time. You know why? Because that's the only site we inherited that was not, that they had not gone into a formal arrangement to tie us up.
Yeah, yeah.
Which other one we're speaking about?
And I have the figures there, but in the interest of time, I will not give it. But I have the comparisons between the area of land, the cost of Marigo, and so on to justify the rate per square foot being
But
told.
at this time, Marigo,
pardon?
is Marigo completed or is it still unfinished?
Well, you could say it is completed, but there are a lot of issues with Marigo. I probably may not have time to go into it.
Like the minister said, we'll have to do
this evening.
Right.
But you know, you hear certain people beat their chest and talk and so on. And we all know who the minister of housing was
at
then.
the time.
And there were a lot of issues with Marigo. And maybe in our next show, we would go into Marigo in more detail and look at what were the problems and what had to be done.
Marigo had some
and who did
efficiencies.
it to resolve the issues pertinent to Marigo in order to make it at least what it is today.
Yeah.
Okay?
He may not, he's being moderate. He doesn't want to tell
he
you.
doesn't want to go into it.
Because a whole set of lots that they abandoned and said could not be utilized was sold to him.
Yes.
He had to go and finish the work himself. And go and see the quality of houses that he has put in there now, as we speak. So, that is what I'm telling you. Some people can work and some people can talk.
Yeah, so since the minister going to it, I'll just give you a little snippet.
So you have to give you a jump start.
Yes, a little snippet of it. Marigo was supposed to have been 117 lots.
Yeah.
Right? Which was supposed to cost $6 million. That was the contractual arrangement at the time. Okay? It took from 2007 all the way to 2010, and Marigo project was not completed. Okay, the price had jumped from $6 million to $7.85 million.
Why is that?
Right? challenges, diversions.
Okay.
They did one road,
Okay.
and then they had to go and literally tunnel through a hill and pay
Okay.
$500,000 for that road,
okay, yeah.
and so on. Okay, my property is bonded with. I had to be assisting them
Yes.
during that period of time. While the price increased from $6 million to $7.85 million, the number of lots decreased from 117 to 67 lots, because there was a
From
number of lots.
117 to 67?
Correct. Almost 40% of the lots were rejected and deemed unsuitable for development during that construction period, including the front. You see the front where you see the concrete road?
Right, there's a road going up there.
That concrete road. That whole area was abandoned and said it was too expensive to develop. So when 2010, when I saw how close this parcel or that area is to my property, and I had the fear of people coming and squatting and watching over my business,
That's right.
I went into the NHC and made a proposal to develop the land. Of course, they had no money to do so. So I made them an offer. I said that I will develop the land at my expense. Okay, the value, you determine the value of the works that I'll be doing. Their engineers came and prepared a contract and said the value was X. Then they were selling the lands at $10 and $12 a square foot. I said, okay, apply it against the lands at full value, although I was the one putting the infrastructure myself, right? So I went in. So if you look at Marigot, think of everywhere there's a concrete road in Marigot. That was done by me.
Okay.
The chip and spray was done as part of the $7.8 million. So I went in, I put in the infrastructure, the concrete road, I excavated that area completely, and now I've turned it into a wonderful project with a number of houses.
It is nice.
I have actually built in the region of 15 houses in Marigot.
Beautiful.
Right? And really and truly, I had to rescue that project from that point. The other side as well, where there was a massive excavation, I had to go in and flatten the hill and cut it down. There are some other lots. I mean, a lot of the houses that I built in Marigot are lands that they said was not suitable for development. I went in and boldly purchased those properties. And indeed, I could have only achieved what I achieved because whatever monies I lost on the development, based on the excavation that I had to do, I was using that material to landfill my property down on the other side. So I was balancing the loss from the development into what it would have costed me if I had to carry material to backfill my property on the other side. So I had to put in major retaining walls, major tie beams to those developments and so on. And I made those houses affordable for the people that purchased them.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Okay, so I had to go in and really rescue that development. But certain people, like I said, you know, would beat their chest and say, well, they've done so much and so great. But that project in Marigot could have been a total failure if we did not have persons come in and assist.
Visionary people like yourself.
Yes. Let's go to Talvan. I think Talvan makes for interesting discussion.
Yes.
There's more.
Now, Talvan is within the constituency of Babono, represented by Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, and he has been clamoring for a housing project in his area. But the things we inherited there, and remember that is land that also you have a number of squatters who are already occupying that. It took us years. I will allow, because Mr. Mangal was chairman of NHC, and every day I would call him and tell him, man, how are we getting out of that arrangement with another joint venture company?
You know, this
that the Labour Party went into.
Yeah, that is so interesting when you have a representative asking for a housing project for his constituents. That is very, 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 very interesting. Very, very great.
Yes. So for Talvan, right? Talvan, when we came in, we found yet another joint venture arrangement between the NHC and a company called JLDP.
My goodness.
Now that's a French company.
That's another foreign company.
Another foreign
We have to highlight the foreign company.
Right.
Eh?
No, there was no agreement or no arrangement with any St. Lucian or local companies. Local companies were not.
So the second one you said earlier, Lavidi, what's it called again?
So we have three companies now. The first one was NHC
Bo, yes.
Panel, right? The second one was Livity Group.
Livity Group, is that is foreign as well?
Yes, that is foreign as well.
So that is
and this one is JLDP.
So that is three foreign companies. So we have to listen when they talk about...
So why you think that like the old people say, they take in front?
In front, yes. Because
then, so when they start saying, oh, everything for this government is foreign, look at every project they try to undertake. was with a foreign company.
Yes.
And now they're accusing us for
Yes.
going into joint ventures
With our local
with
people.
our local
people.
Now, here, you want to hear how stringent this thing was with the foreign company, GLDP, right? Again, the land had to be transferred to GLDP. Okay? Now, remember I told you it had to be transferred. Fortunately for St. Lucia, we had a change in election, in government in 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, and we were able to come in just before that transfer was done. But here the arrangement, after the transfer would have been done to GLDP, right, and GLDP developing the property, right, they would not go in. The arrangement is that they would not move in and spend 1 penny or $1 on that property until they would have pre-sold 60% of the development.
What?
Yes, it's right there in the agreement. And if everybody want to challenge me, I have the agreement. I could show you.
Tell
Right?
anybody in the Labour Party, say that this is not the case.
So the guys had to sell 60 properties, you say,
They are saying
before they put in a dollar.
So the thing is, the fellas.
No, Champagne. It's not before they put in a dollar. In other words, they would have a plan on paper.
Yes.
And they would sell 60 houses on paper. Now, let's say I came in as the first buyer, and I buy a house from them. I made an arrangement that I'm paying them a deposit of X, let's say, well, I don't know if it was deposit or if it was in full. I guess they would have had to pay a deposit. Show that I qualify with the bank, and let's say I paid them $20,000. If 2 years later, they have not sold the 60% of the property, I still have to wait. And if it takes them 10 years before they sell the
entire
60%, all that time they have my $20,000 and I have to be waiting until they start,
So Champagne, basically,
My goodness.
basically, those foreign companies did not have money of their own to undertake those developments. So they were doing something that any local St. Lucian company could have done.
And these guys had
Right.
the nerve to talk about carbon.
Okay, so when they transfer the land, that company would have used that land, okay, to levy for financing, right? And in order to levy, they would have also needed to show that it was a viable development. Okay, so they would now not put in any monies in until, like Minister said, they would have to pre-sell the development. So on paper, you would be buying, you would be depositing, and so on, and then they would be using that very
That's the money.
deposit
So they
of
would
yours.
use your money
That's what I was
to
saying.
develop. So why couldn't NHC do that on their own?
Right. So, Minister, so when we came in, and mind you, that agreement, I read that agreement over 3 times while I was chairman. And I had to be in meetings with our lawyers and so on. And the lawyers were telling me, Chairman, our hands are tied because there is no time frame within that agreement for execution of those projects. Right? And the guys, they have not defaulted in any way because they have not pre-sold 60%.
I had about 3 meetings with them myself, trying to find out. Because I had to ask at the meeting, St. Lucians do not buy houses on paper. You cannot show a St. Lucian a house, tell them, I will build that house, but you have to pay me for that house now, and then I will build it for you. In other countries, people may do that. They will buy into a development. St. Lucians like to go, they want to knock the wall, they want to check it out, they want to look at the ceiling, they want to make sure that they are happy with what they see. You telling me that you're going to sell 60% of the houses before you start putting a backhoe on the ground to do anything?
But you said earlier that had to be mad people doing these things, Tuia. This kind of arrangement, it had to be people insane people.
I don't think it's mad. I think there are underlying things that we don't know. Because I don't think these fellas are so stupid.
But Mr. Minister, if they did it once, they did it twice. Look, they're doing it the first time.
So you think it's because they're stupid, or you think because somebody benefited someone?
Okay, all right. Let me ring the bell for you on that.
So here's what we had to do.
Yeah.
Here's what we had to do. We were tied up with that development as well, and the people of Talvan need properties. There's a squatter section of that development
Talvan,
as well. So you have a lot of money tied up in there, okay? And the lands were not even subdivided. So whereas you had that agreement, which was they were supposed to have developed what we call the virgin lands, the lands without houses, the entire property was one block and parcel. So in effect, the agreement was tying up even other persons' homes. Who are on private homes, because those homes, there are two squatter areas in that in that development. The people own the homes, but government and its own the land. Right? And of course, you've been hearing even with the previous parliamentary rep, the Labour Party parliamentary rep, they said, we will sell you or we'll give you the land. They did nothing with it. Okay, other than put in what is called a special enforcement area, which meant that they put in a legal avenue which would prevent people from building further on the land. If you had gone and built on the land, because it's deemed a special enforcement area, okay, NHC would have the privilege to just demolish what you put, okay, without even going to the courts. Okay, that was all they did, which may have been good to protect the virgin properties, but they did nothing to give the people title to what was theirs. And you know, Champagne, when you are building on lands that is not yours, right? Even if that house is worth $300,000, you cannot go to the bank and get a loan to send your children to school or anything. So you have equity, but the equity is really not yours. Okay? So we came in, first thing I did when we came in, I said, no, this has to stop. So I engaged surveyors on the property right away, and we did what was called a perimeter survey of all the lands, and we dismember, the two squatter areas, and we call it squatter area 1 and squatter area 2. We got separate block and parcel numbers for those areas, so we removed those, right? And then after consultation with the lawyers, we had to take the bold step. So they said, well, Chairman, the only thing, if you want to serve them, you could serve them. So I said, listen, we have to do something. We cannot sit on the property for 20 years unless 60% is sold. So I said, if we give them notice that we're terminating the agreement, what is the recourse? They said, well, they can challenge it. If they challenge it, there's going to be a period of time.
So who's the data? The French company?
French company, GLDP, right? So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we terminated the agreement, and we waited that period. But I waited that period with my fingers crossed, right? Fortunately for us, they did not challenge the termination. And the moment they did not challenge the termination, we had the clearance to go into that development. So we got the clearance then, together with the present parliamentary rep for the area, Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, who's been really pushing to get the people those properties. We were able to send surveyors on the ground. And in no time, we were able to dismember the lots, do what is called a rationalization, survey all the lots in squatter area 1 and squatter area 2, and offer it to the people for sale. Okay? So in phase 1, which is squatter area 1, we got a total of 49 lots. So there are 49 lots with homes on them. A total saleable lands of 280,373 square feet. Okay? And then in phase 2, there were 39 lots, saleable lands of 146,860 square feet. Champagne, the two areas, right? Together was 88 lots. Now let's just put it this way, 88 lots, and do a simple calculation. Let's just say there are some houses that is worth 100,000, there are other houses there that would be worth 400,000. Right. And I will show you a video to show you the area, right? If that means you have a mean of $200,000, times that by 88 lots, that is over, I think, $16 million worth of equity. So what we have done since we come in, we've surveyed those lots, we've offered it to the people to purchase. A lot of them has purchased those lots. The roads and so on, the concrete roads are coming in, and the people now have tangible equity. They are now empowered with the homes that they've built on those properties, and they now can go to the banks, right? They can take a loan for a business. They can take a loan to send their children to school. Something they could not have done while the Labour Party was in power. So they were able to do that immediately, Champagne. And then what we did, you remembered NHC, when we found NHC with no money. No money. And we found NHC with all of its problems. In July of 2018, in consultation with the minister, I said, Minister, we need to do something bold. And we decided that PPP, based on the success in Forestier, that we had to continue with the public-private sector partnership arrangement. And so in July of 2018, we launched what was called a symposium. I don't know if you remember that. That was upstairs in the Ministry of Infrastructure's conference room, where we invited developers to view 11 sites around the island. I remember that. And we said, listen, we are willing to partner with you. We want you to partner with us. You will benefit from NHC's concessions. and let us do the joint developments. And I must tell you, to date, we have 2 successful developments ongoing in a record time. I mean, we talk about 2018 to 2020. By 2019, we already had a full set of development ongoing, and we were able to open Shock.
That's right.
Last year in
That's
2020.
right. That's
But
right.
before we go to Shock, I will show you what I'll show you what Talvan is, okay, and what we have gotten it to be.
Okay, so
All
I'll
right?
come here, crew.
Yeah. So if I will just.
Okay, camera crew, we want to go to the clippings of
Yes.
Talvan, the video of Talvan. Camera crew.
Do we have it on?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're down there.
So this is Talvan, right? This is the squatter area. And this road that you see going in there, this is the road that we're putting in within the new development. So that road is benefiting the squatters as well as the virgin territory. Okay? This is Talvan taken via drone shot on Friday of last week. The development in Talvan is approximately 40% complete. And that is being done under a PPP arrangement.
Now, Champagne, as viewers are seeing, if that is not development,
Oh, yeah.
then what is development?
Oh, yeah.
Because, and this is being done by local contractors.
That is right.
You can continue playing the video.
Yes.
These are being done by
The
our
second
local
one, yes.
people.
So this is the second one. This is.
And
this
I
is
can
the virgin
tell
side.
you, Minister Ezekiel will be very proud.
Of course.
That is one of the nicest housing developments. I thought Forestier was nice. When I went to Talvan and I saw what was happening up there, I mean, it's amazing. It's a nice, tranquil area. Well, and you can see the quality of road and infrastructure
Look at the
that is being
vegetation and
put
everything.
there. It is going to be a top-class development in that area. And that is, so when we talk about building a new St. Lucia, that is what we are talking about, empowering the people. You saw the houses in this quarter area. So when all of these owners now have title to their land, their house now, they can mortgage, they can do things, their children can get to go to university, they can buy a vehicle, because they already have the houses. That is what we are talking about. And look at the quality of the work that is being done in that area. And I'm not afraid to say, Fresh Start is that contract was given to another individual. And because COVID, another local person, because of COVID and the impact that COVID had on business, that particular developer decided they did not want to stretch their resources at that point in time. And because we needed to get the project going, then we ended up engaging. Fresh Start again gave us an offer, and we proceeded with them.
Fresh Start is top quality. Top quality.
And what we are seeing there is the NHC has not spent a cent
Not a penny.
in what is happening there. So when the lands are sold, the developer will get paid his share, and then the percentage that goes to NHC will go to them.
So it's a win-win situation.
I mean, I can stay at Forestier and see that development, you know. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's a nice development. And I will show you some still photos of that development. So
While Mr.
This
Mangal
one-
is searching for the other video, Mr. Minister, we have to talk about those foreign companies. We must talk about those foreign companies because the Labour Party, like you said, you point devant point.
So
The free-
that would be another squatter area.
no, yes. So I just want to highlight the squatter areas, right? So this is the virgin territory. So if you see my mouse scrolling there, this is the lands that have no houses and that are being developed. The squatter areas, see all those big houses down there? All of that area down there, that entire section here, that entire section, none of those persons had title to those properties. And we came in, we were able to take that. That is squatter area number 2. Squatter area number 1, this photo only shows part of it. Right? It goes down that area, it goes all the way to the opposite side of the Fonasson Primary School. Can you imagine, Champagne? Those people now, because of the efforts of Minister Joseph, Ezekiel Joseph. We went in, we had plenty town hall meetings with the people, okay? And we were criticized. I remember on the market step, the previous parliamentary rep mentioned my name, oh, Mangal and Ezekiel.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, fooling the people and this and that and the
But that
other.
doesn't look like
They
fooling.
promised the people they'll earn at $5 a square foot, but they did not deliver.
No.
So because we were selling the lands to the people at $6 a square foot, over 5 years after they made the promise and did not deliver, they found that we were fooling the people.
Yeah.
Well, if fooling the people mean that we will deliver
This,
to the people,
we better-
this is what it is. We
we
don't
better-
speak.
you
We don't
better-
speak, but we deliver.
That's right.
We deliver, and that is what this government has done. Has delivered, okay, on the rationalization of all of those lands in Talvan for the people. So I will just play the others. So this is some still shots, right? And you could see again part of the squatter development, part 2 and part 3.
I mean, I love that. I drove through their Champagne and they didn't even have the material on the road
Yeah.
yet. Now we have so much to cover
Oh,
in
yeah,
house.
oh, yeah.
So then I will show you, okay, with this new video that I'm just about to play, what we envisage Talvan will look like when the project is complete. Now, the houses you see that are being displayed, they are just virtual houses.
Right.
They are not
Yes,
there,
not the actual-
and they may not necessarily be the houses
Yes.
that the people
Yeah.
will build.
Right.
But we put those
We
houses
just put
in
in,
there
as a
to
blueprint.
show you what the development
What we
will
would
be.
like it to be.
Look
To
like,
be,
yes,
right. So,
yes.
so I'm starting it off now, right? So this is what we want Talvan to look like. I think it should have sound on your system. Yeah. It's supposed to have sound.
No, they didn't give
No?
us.
No?
I think the jack is on there. Check your.
Yeah. So if I pull out the jack, let me see if I can.
No, no, it's okay. Put it back. He told me it's here, but we're not getting it.
Okay. So this is basically looking at Talvan, that entire virgin territory which I show you that is being developed.
Look at how
And this is
beautiful
what
that is.
this is what we want Talvan to look like when it's totally complete. This is what we're delivering for the people of St. Lucia. As you can see, the development is equipped with its own storage system and water tank at the highest point to be able to provide water for that development and also to the neighboring communities. So this is zooming right down into the development itself, and I hope someone could build such a big house in there for sure.
Oh boy, that thing. Listen, this looks great, man. This thing looks great.
Yes. And then you see the quality of the infrastructure you saw in Forestia. This is exactly
Yes,
what we're
okay,
doing.
okay.
Concrete roads, concrete drains, proper water system with its own storage, proper electricity system, fire hydrants, all of the works of a
There's so much
modern development.
vegetation, so much green that
Correct.
incorporates everything.
Correct.
So that is when we tell people that that's why we did not say we are building a better St. Lucia. That's why we said we are building a new St. Lucia.
Yes, sir.
When we promise something, we want to be able to deliver on it. And we are just showing people now. I remember when that same virtual design was done for Forestia. People said, oh, that's
Yeah.
just pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
Go
I remember.
and see the houses
right.
that are in the Forestia
That's right.
development. Every house is different. Every lovely house. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been
Of
up
course,
there.
several
You've
times.
seen it. It is a prime development. And that is what we expect to see happening
Yes.
in the Talvan development. And that people are going to upgrade the communities where they live and make it look like top-class communities.
Finally, St. Lucia is getting somewhere in regards to housing. I talk about that all the time.
I mean, I made some promises that we've not been able to meet because we never envisaged that we would have these kinds of problems when we came in. The development done by St. Jude Hospital, that development, we've been in court. We won the case recently.
Yeah.
I heard that they are in the process of appealing.
Yeah, a lot of land up there.
the people down there. Every development we inherited has been problematic.
And you know now that the minister is on the Larry Sus St. Jude's development,
That's a lot of land
right?
up there.
When someone took NHC to court and indicated that they had an interest in the property, there was a young female lawyer, right, that worked diligently hard. That was under the UWP administration between 2006 and 2011. When the Labour Party came in 2011, they fired her and brought in those same lawyers that the minister mentioned, right? And you know, for that 5 years, there was no progress on that case. When I came in as chairman and I reviewed those files and saw what had happened and how much money we had paid to those lawyers, we took a board decision and we decided we had no other choice. Not because we did not want to work with the lawyers, but we had not seen any progress. And we saw the knowledge and the effort that that female lawyer had put into this project. So we had to terminate them, brought back in that female lawyer. And you know, she was able to take the case to the court and was able to win the case on for the NHC. Like the minister said, the only unfortunate thing is that the people have decided to appeal. That is why we were not in a position to continue or do anything with that development.
But I want to go back quickly because we may have to open the lines for a few minutes. I want to go back to the Tuia development in the Bois d'Orange area because I want you to show what is being proposed in that area.
We have a lot for today.
And we've not touched shock. I have all the documentation on shock. I may leave shock for another time because shock was another disaster by the Labour Party in terms of cost. And I have the cabinet conclusions to show you how much we had to end up paying.
But would you like to show? Would you like to at least show what has happened?
Yeah, that would be
so
nice
far?
to see something.
Yes, we can show what has happened in shock. But let's just... I want to deal with Tuia so that people understand.
Okay.
The Labour Party went in, they put concrete roads, they put the infrastructure. The land did not belong to us. So we came into government thinking that we can now begin to sell these properties and develop the place, only to find out that now we have some kind of injunction. The rightful owners claim the land, and the government had gone in and spent maybe over $1 million in that development.
So hold on, Mr. Minister. What I'm understanding is, so the government was squatting then? Because you said the government put concrete road on land that don't belong to them. What? I don't understand
well,
that.
technically, it did not. Because as Mr. Mangal explained earlier, when the LRTP project was done back in the 80s, anybody who did not claim for land during that time, the Crown, it was registered in the name of the Crown.
Oh, okay.
But once the persons could come and show that they were the rightful heirs to the property or owners of the property with the proper documentation, the land would be reverted to them. So that was a simple exercise that the Ministry of Planning themselves could have done. Find out whether there were any legitimate owners to the... They just went, put in concrete roads, did everything. And now we came into government, our hands are tied. It took the Attorney General years going back and forth, negotiating, getting things organized, then settling with owners who had property there, all kinds of settlements. We were just able, during the middle of the COVID pandemic, to close off that arrangement. And so we have gone into another arrangement with a local developer, and I'm proud to say that Mr. Mangal had sent a proposal to the Housing Department, NHC, to look at a model of housing that we've been trying to get into St. Lucia for the longest while, to get people to have a different mindset about housing. So I don't know, are you showing the video first or are you going to?
Yeah, well, since we're talking about Tuia, I will go into Tuia, right? And basically, Tuia, the Tuia housing area, and The infrastructure is already in place.
How much land is in Tuia? How much property?
About 36 lots.
36,
Yeah, about
okay.
36 lots. So we sent in a proposal, right? Marigo Buildings Depot Limited sent in a proposal to the National Housing Corporation for the development of 15 of those lots into duplex houses. So whereas you're going to have 15 homes built, 15 houses built, you're really going to have 30 units.
Yeah, because of the duplex.
30 units, because each lot has a duplex.
A duplex, yes.
Now, the reason for a duplex is because of the cost of construction and how difficult it is to own a home due to that rise in cost. So we're trying to bring St. Lucians into the new mindset, or the mindset of being able to live in what is called a duplex. That has been happening in the first world
Oh,
for
yeah. Oh,
years
yeah.
upon
England
years.
especially.
Now, St. Lucians may say, listen, I like my garden, I
Yes,
want to
yeah.
have some yard space and so on. So we still did not deprive them of that. Because the duplex concept, what it does is that if you have a 6,000 square feet lot, it cuts the lot into two, but it places one house with what is called the party wall against that boundary
That's right.
between each person.
Each person, that's
So one person will have the yard space in the front, in the back, and on the side of that property for one unit. The other person has the space on the other side for it. So it does not deprive you
right.
of land space. It does not deprive you of your kitchen garden, your back garden, and so on. It does not deprive you of all the amenities that you would have in a single family
And
residential
there's no
building.
argument between the two neighbors. Because
There are no arguments.
Yeah.
It's a party wall.
That's right.
That party wall starts from the foundation right up to
All
the
the
roof.
way. That's right.
Not even the roof of each unit is connected. Everything is separate. So if you have an issue of a hurricane blowing part of the roof, then we know clearly who's responsible for what part and who's not
Okay.
responsible.
Okay.
So all of that has been taken into clear consideration. The advantage of this is that you will reduce the cost of construction per unit because you're utilizing certain
That's right.
features and amenities for each of those units, right? And we are proud to say that we have offered a package which includes 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, living room, kitchen, dining room, powder room,
Wow.
washing and dryer facilities, and trust me, all of that on approximately 3,000 square feet
3,000
and
square feet.
Champagne. You won't want to believe what
Yeah.
those prices are.
Beautiful.
Just over 200 and something thousand.
Is that right?
Right?
That's really affordable.
The cost of development
That's
is so
very
expensive.
affordable, yeah.
We would have moved ahead with this project with haste. What has held us back is COVID. And we're not using COVID as an excuse. That is the truth. In the last Castries office, the minister hinted the price of building materials as well.
Oh, yes, yes.
Significantly.
Steel.
That is no lie. You could go to any hardware and check it out yourself.
Well, you would know better than everybody
Yes,
else.
I can tell you that the price of steel has increased by over 50%. It was just over $2,000. It's about $3,000 now. Lumber, for example, in the United States, in Alabama, where the bulk cargo comes in for lumber into St. Lucia, yellow pine. The guys are telling you, St. Lucia is a market that likes longer lengths. The guys are telling you that the price now they're quoting you is more than double. And they're saying if you want the longer lens, you have to buy the shorter lens to get the longer lens. Otherwise, they will not
They
sell
don't
it.
get it, yeah.
You will not get it. Okay? That is why if you go in any lumber yard in St. Lucia, you will see very few lumber here now because hardwares are buying just what is sufficient just to try to keep the market going.
Okay.
The price of freight, shipping. For example, I would have paid before COVID a 40-foot container out of China into St. Lucia. $4,500 US for freight. You want to know what it is now? 11 and 12,000 US.
Woo!
And whoever don't want to believe me could go. The last time I checked was 1 month ago, and that is the price. Right? Okay, fortunately for my business, I have a second option of lumber out of Honduras, and I was able to negotiate with these people to try to keep the prices down. However, just when I was getting success, 2 hurricanes went in late last year.
Oh,
in
yes,
Honduras.
that's right, in Honduras.
Hit Honduras. So we have difficulties in that construction sector. And that is the only reason, but that does not dissuade me from going in with this project. The only thing is that whereas I would have wanted to go in at one huge pace, hire subcontractors, which is more St. Lucian contractors, and to execute that project quickly, we would have to slow down on the pace because of the fact that those prices will not stay up forever. I don't think they will come back to what they were pre-COVID, but at least they must come back down as we reopen.
Mr. Mangal, here, you see, tonight is such an important night with the information that you're bringing out to our people. Here we had 3 companies, foreign companies, not able to put a single house erect a single house, but we have a local company in Freshstadt that has given us quality work. If you see, we were just down there in Choiseul at that and Lafargue development. And if you look at that road, if you see that road that is constructed there already, we went to that road up there in Soufrière through Francis Jacques, how you call it, going down to Diamond.
Yeah, Diamond.
How you call it? There's a name for that place.
Esperance.
Yeah. And if you see the quality,
Champagne, I don't know what St. Lucians or what some of our leaders in society have against St. Lucians companies or St. Lucians. These are the people we need to give all the tax breaks. These are the people we need to empower. When we have companies, I mean, who did the Labour Party empower? In the road projects, CCI, Gadagan, Dewey, which is the other one.
Yeah.
These companies, and apart from those projects being done, they were
Lagan.
They were cost overruns of over 100%.
All the time.
Where did that money go? It doesn't seem that our leaders, all those people talk show hosts who talking about Fresh Start and about Marigo building depot, it doesn't seem they had any difficulty with those foreign companies collecting all of what is our hard-earned sweat and repatriating it overseas. When Fresh Start or when Total Construction Supplies or Marigo Building Depot or any local company, Reno Kajada, I have no difficulty. Once it is local, I will support it. Because at the end of the day,
everything
right, despite we have no cost overruns on these projects, let's assume, for argument's sake, there was cost overruns like there was with Lagan and CCI and all the others. Where's the money going to?
Still here.
It stays right here. Those companies will be investing those monies right in St. Lucia for the development of this country. So what is the problem you have calling Fresh Start name every single day, right? Showing checks on television and that it is being paid to Marigo Buildings Depot. But there are business arrangements. And myself and Peter Felicia, the owner of Fresh Start, we have said we'll be coming on your programs, okay, separately to deal with these issues. Right?
That's for sure.
I believe it is time, Champagne, that St. Lucians are empowered to develop their own country. We have the capacity, we have the capability, we have the talent, we have the ability.
Let's show them the houses so they can see. They can see.
Right.
You know, Champagne, I have met with over 200 potential foreign housing developers in the 5 years I've been in government. You know what I tell them? Don't come and tell me you can spend $100 million or you can spend $10 million. Build 2 sample houses. Let me see that you can do it.
Right.
And then we can talk.
Okay. So this is a site layout plan, right? This is actually how the houses will be positioned. These are the lots in that area. So
that is Tuia.
That is Tuia.
Yes.
That is Tuia. So this road here, if you could see my mouse, this road here is the main Tuia road. And that's right in the junction here, just after Laurel's restaurant, which will be somewhere there.
Yes.
Right. So this whole area there with the concrete roads, all these are the duplex houses. And we go on to the other side of the road with an additional 4 duplex houses. So this is a total of 15 duplex houses, which will be sold and available to St. Lucia's 30 homeowners in St. Lucia. This is... Now, whereas in Talvan, I showed you a virtual shot of what we want Talvan to look at. Like, this is also a virtual shot, but the difference with that is that
actual.
This one is the actual houses that will be built, and we're going to be showing you the houses from outside, inside, and showing you the whole development. Let's see it now. Supposed to have sound, but I don't think we get in the sound.
I think they're getting the sound out.
They're probably getting it from
outside. Okay. So this is how the entire area will look like when all of these Champagne, these are the actual houses that will be built in that area. Okay, and this is the area where the park is, and you're going to be going in to the whole development. Can you imagine Tuia, that site there looking like this very soon?
So are all of the homes duplex or some
Yes,
of them?
all of these houses are duplex. There are two types. There is one
what I
duplex.
noticed,
Yeah, there is
yes.
one duplex that's spread over.
That's what I noticed.
Over one floor.
Yes.
And there's another one that goes 2 floors,
That's
up
what I
and
know,
down.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
up and down. And we did it so because of the size of the lots. So the wider lots you could put those on one level, but the narrower lots you would have to use the 2-level duplex.
You know what I like about them, about these houses, and from the moment I saw that, I was sold on that project. It's the fact that both persons have yard space, both front, side, and
And
back.
back, yes.
And then the fencing is going to separate the property right through. So it separates the house and it separates the yard space and everything. And it engenders better neighborly living within the community.
That's right.
Because when we go overseas, we share
Oh, yes,
houses.
you share-
Our people live in the CDCs and they share houses. Sometimes you go, you rent an apartment building and
So
you
these are
share
the
houses.
internal. This is the actual
That's
inside.
the inside. And that's what we are saying. Well, some young people do not want to spend too much money and they do not want too much property to handle. So what that does is it makes the housing more affordable. Because I want to see St. Lucians buying more houses than they are buying cars.
That's right.
That's right.
I would rather see young St. Lucians own a house and land than owning a car. For me, a car can come later, but you have to make an investment for your future to own a piece of St. Lucia. And that is what that affords.
Yes.
Because if you get a house and land like that for under $300,000,
Yeah, that's the steal.
I mean, that is what we are talking about, making things affordable for our people.
And those are 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, so
Two
these are the
bedrooms.
2 levels.
Yes.
All of them are, so this is the one with the 2 levels. So you have the living room, kitchen, dining. You have a powder room and a laundry dryer on the ground floor. And then on the upper floor, so that's the powder room area, laundry dryer, kitchen, dining, coming up to the living room. And this is the staircase, takes you upstairs. When you hit upstairs now, you're going to have 2 bedrooms. So you're entering into 1 bedroom here. This is like a master bedroom with its own bathroom. Right? Have its own bathroom right in here. And what you see in there, the tile setup and so on, this is actually the way it is going to look. Then you go into the 2nd bedroom. And you have bedroom number 2. Okay. You have the bathrooms for bedroom number 2. Each of them can have their private bathroom because it's 2 bathrooms upstairs. And it's balconies as well. And you can see the hedge in between the 2, basically, that separates and identifies
And you know that
those pictures.
the bank shouldn't really have any problems to give someone a loan to get
Well,
to
No,
purchase
because
those
you'll
loans.
have separate title.
Exactly.
You'll have
Correct.
separate title.
Correct.
Can we just do a quick shot of what
Shock.
shock looks like?
Yeah, but there's an interesting part about the financing. There's a financing component for these
For these
projects.
okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that I don't know if you want us to
Yeah,
go
you-
quickly.
We could
can-
discuss it.
So we've recognized that we would like to partner with the banks, and we would encourage every person to go to the bank. But we've recognized, and I've seen so with some of my developments, that the people who are going to the banks these days are just not getting loans. I don't know why. Because of COVID, it is very difficult to get loans. So having identified that, we've said that, listen, we want to offer an alternative, or at least another option. Like I said, we would prefer you go to the banks. You can go to the banks, but if in case there are issues where you cannot obtain a loan, you could come to that financing company, which we're setting up, okay, for the purpose of those developments. With that financing company, it's going to be to your advantage, but you will have to spend more money. Because Champagne, in a 20-year mortgage, a 25-year mortgage, the first 10 years, the first 5 years, you're paying a lot more interest and a very little to that loan itself. So here's what we've decided, and that idea came off something that I actually did for a young couple. There was a young couple in a house that I built in Marigo. that they came to me, they went to the banks, they wanted to buy a house, that they could not get a loan because they were on the cruise ships and they were on 6-month contracts. They were making a lot of money, but they could not get a loan. So they came in, they paid me a substantial deposit, and we entered into an agreement where they had access to the house, they're living in the house, and they were paying me on a monthly basis with a certain interest, concurrent to what the bank would charge. Okay? And of course, they were very close to finishing paying off. The agreement was only for 5 years, and they would have paid off their loan in 5 years. Right? When COVID hit, and they had very little income, they went to a credit union. By then, the price of the house, I think, land was $350,000. They had already paid $250,000, and they had only $100,000 to pay. So can you imagine a credit union or a bank getting an equity of $350,000? That house is now worth $400,000. So you get an equity of $400,000, and a young couple is coming and asking you for a loan of $100,000. Over 20 years, where they have to pay $700 a month.
Right.
So those people were able to get their loans as a result of that. And I said, but wait, that's a good option, right? So what we've done, it will be a little bit more, you would have to commit a little bit more money into that investment. Whereas you may be able to go to a bank and probably get a loan with a 5% deposit, or maybe 0% deposit, you would have to contribute 10%. So let's just say this whole development costs $300,000. So you have issues getting a loan with the bank. If you can raise $30,000, you come to that finance company, you pay 10% down, the balance $270,000. We enter into an agreement with you for 5 or a maximum of 6 years. The whole intention is that at 5 or 6 years, you now would have paid 50% of that mortgage. So you would be paying and committing a little bit more. So whereas at the beginning with the banks, you'll be paying more interest, we are now asking you to pay more towards the principal, which is to your advantage, right? And it's once you are able to do so, by 5 years now, that balance of your loan would be at $150,000.
But the principal would be really high, though.
No. In fact, I did the amortization, and you'll be surprised. It's about $2,700 a month. Right? So if you have two persons...
Between two people,
yes, and so on. So once you are able to do that, can you imagine after 5 years, you now can transfer this, okay? To the bank.
That's right.
At a much... And then you would have had now the track record. Because if the banks had its doubts and so on, and you are able to do so, you would have had a track record with a company of being able to pay more than they're asking you to pay.
So at that time, you get a little seize with the bank to take more time to pay.
Exactly. So you have a much lesser mortgage to pay and so on. The good thing about that as well, it's just a similar concept to what is called a lease to own. So as soon as you pay that 10% deposit, you enter into your home just as if you had paid your home to that developer. You enter in, but you're not paying any rent. You actually occupying, and the monies you're paying is just like a mortgage that you paid.
You're paying towards ownership.
You're paying towards ownership. The only time you'll pay rent, there'll be a rental value declared. The only time you pay rent is if you renege from the agreement. Right? And you would have to go. Obviously, you'll pay for the time that which you occupy that property. But the good thing about it is, Champagne, that as a young St. Lucian or a young person, you don't have to think of, okay, if I have to now go back to school, or if I have to change my career and go and work overseas, what happened? I have this mortgage tying me up. No, the good thing about this is you enter into this house 3 years down the line, that happens and you have to leave St. Lucia, it is transferable. You simply transfer it to another young St. Lucian once that person...
to pay for it.
Yes, once that person is approved by the finance company, you are alleviated from that responsibility and you move on.
I think, Champagne, what we are doing is, and I have to compliment business people like Mr. Mangal. I know there are other companies working on different arrangements. I know Bryce is looking at some housing development down in the south. We engage in different persons at different levels, because what we believe is that we have to create opportunities. And what I like about the proposal by Mr. Mangal is that it gives you time to build equity before you have to come up with qualifying requirements for a big loan, in other words. And that is, when we did Forestier, it's not that we could not build the houses. The people in the community I wanted to be owners of the land could not afford a house and land package immediately. So what they did was they got their loan, they bought the land. Some of them took a couple of years before they started. So they paid down on the loan, built some equity, refinance, and now we are seeing the houses going up. So whereas a lot of these people would not have qualified for a $300,000 or $400,000 loan at the bank for a house and land, but they could have qualified for $80,000 to buy a piece of land. And now that they've paid down a percentage of that, they've been able to refinance and do otherwise. So what we are offering, I want all the people of St. Lucia. Now we've spoken about the more high end, but I've not even touched Bel Air, where I have over 160 lots being made available at minimal price. We did the acquisition, and they are just starting the surveys down there. Everybody has filled out a form. Everyone has filled out a form for ODSA. The people who've been occupying the land for more than 40 years, some of them. All of these people will begin to get title. All of the GIS lands, from good lands going all the way down to Roseau, the government has acquired. And people will now begin to get title, because these things take time to materialize, to survey, to do all of that. We are doing land rationalization. We are doing the various projects in a number of areas. So what we have seen is before the end of this term in government, we would have maybe over 1,000 St. Lucians who would be owning property, because you have to take into consideration what is being done, what was done in...
Well, I have the figures, Minister, so I can just
Yes,
get to them.
yes.
Right, so you have the 63 lots in Forest here. You have 250 in Shock. You have 131 in Talvan. You have the 49 and 39 rationalization in Talvan Phase 1 and Phase 2. This amounts to 538 lots. Okay, that has been done under this government.
You didn't even say Tuia.
No, Tuia, we're not counting the lots. Tuia is housing. The lots were done before.
Okay. All right.
Okay, but we have 538 lots that either have been done or in the process of completing. Okay, in about 4 years, four and a half years. That is well over 125 lots per year.
No, but that's what I was telling you. So we've not taken into consideration what Invest St. Lucia did down in Mikun.
That's right.
And then we have other developments that are taking place. What's happening in Choiseul, in Lafargue. Then we have the project on the housing, where we're doing the new set of lots down in the Lafargue area that is adjoining the one that Invest is doing. The old playing field, we're doing the rationalization down there. In Opicon, we are doing rationalization. And so if I add, just in my constituency, Bexo has about 50. We have over 160 in Bel Air. Then in Deglo, we just got another 53 that is demarcated already. We have over 70 in Odsa. By the time you add up all of these, you're talking about over 1,000 lots that we are now making available to St. Lucians at all levels. Those who would pay as little as $2 because of the time that they have been in occupation, and those who would pay $30 and $40 depending on the location and the area. So I want the people of St. Lucia and those young people, when you hear people talking about opportunities, and we are exploring a number of different houses. We are going to be putting down some sample houses. We have a company outside who said they wanted to do houses. I tell them, bring 2 sample houses. The sample houses have been here for more than 3 months. We gave them a lot, but they can't put down the house yet. Now that is just to tell you, if it's a St. Lucian that was doing that, that's done one time. So, but people who want, we welcome foreign direct investment, but priority goes to our local people. And if the foreign investor comes with the resources, there's enough to accommodate everybody. Let's just show the photos of
So the
Shock.
538 lots I was talking about was on an NHC perspective, right? So whereas in 2011 to 2016, 0 lots for NHC, and 6 million we had to pay there. We had how many agreements and so on. Right here, 530 lots and about 30 houses to be built, and the NHC will not be spending a penny.
Yes, we have to ring the bell on that.
Not
You
a
have
cent.
to ring the bell on that. St. Lucia, you have to make the comparison between the form of administration and this one. 0 lots.
If we can just show Shock. And then
Sorry,
we can,
so I will now show Shock, and then I guess in a subsequent broadcast we will
For sure, we have to come. We have to.
we will be discussing
We
Shock.
have to talk about the blackmail.
So this is what is happening now in Shock, right? And Shock is 250 lots. You could see the road layout in Shock, and this front section here is where you see all the excavation. That was a big hill that we taken down to make a commercial section of that development. We had to make it commercial because of the cost of excavation in that particular area. But Shock, that is what Shock presently is. Most of the roads are in place. The drains, I think about 50% of the concrete drains are in place. Shock is going to be a development with its own sewer system, its own fire hydrants, its water tank as well. It's going to be a self-sufficient area because it's going to have residential lots, commercial lots, and so that section here will be excavated further to widen the top and to make it a perfect commercial section there and across there. And the remainder a lot. So
I have a lot of people who call into the program sometimes, especially St. Lucians living overseas. And the question they keep asking is, when is Shock going to be available for sale or deposit?
I can tell you we have more applications. I think we have over 1,000 applications for lands at Shock already as we speak. We can take just a few calls.
There's one more video for Shock.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do your
the
video.
for Shock.
Yes. One last video is a very short one. So that section there that you see where this cursor is, that whole area here will be, some of it will be excavated. Now people may say, oh, but you're doing so much excavation, what about siltation and this and that? The type of material that is up there, I'm sure you've not seen any siltation in the drains around by KFC and down to by First National Bank. It is very well controlled by the developer, and a fantastic job is being done in Shock.
Now, when you talk about KFC, you must specify
Which one now?
There's KFC in my constituency, you know.
It has caused a little backup. You know what has happened? What has happened is
Yes.
the drive-through, there's so many vehicles going in there, so now guys are on the main road. So it has caused a backup.
We having the same problem in cul-de-sac now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was talking about cul-de-sac.
Yes.
Are you through, Mr. Manga?
Yes.
You done? Okay, so St. Lucia, based on what you've heard tonight, and I know there'll be a lot you're going to go to bed with on your mind, because all of the FFF they continue to talk about, there's the people that brought
Now,
about
Champagne,
FFF.
remember, we've not touched Shock and the arrangements that was made with Shock, you know. We'll do that in another program.
That's right.
But you would see how bad the deal was, the valuation, everything, and what it was costing us.
Yes.
If we had to abandon, it would cost us millions of dollars.
My goodness.
So we had to bite the bullet, because apparently they went into the arrangement without doing a proper site visit. So the 89 acres, when they themselves started the process, they realized just about a little over 50 of the acres could have been developed. That is what we inherited from that situation.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Champagne. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Hello?
We could hear you. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, Minister Guy, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, and Mr. Mangal, how's everything going?
Not too bad, sir.
I am
Good evening.
I am so impressed with the presentation this evening that I couldn't resist. I don't normally call, but I couldn't resist calling. It is just fantastic. And I think Mr. Mangal did an exercise which is quite good, putting together a summary of the developments that's going around the Castries area. But I think it would be useful to put a summary of all the developments that's going around St. Lucia in terms of housing.
Oh, yes.
That would be very good. Now, there are three things I wanted to talk about. One, I want to ask about the January Grand Ravine situation with the Crown lands there, because I am getting a lot of people from that area telling me that things are happening everywhere else in terms of rationalization of the properties, but of the lands, but nothing is happening in the Grand Ravine area. And some of the people want to find out when will something be done for them so that they can get some title to the land that they have there, to the land that they're currently squatting on.
Okay, now I cannot speak for the Grand Ravine area, but I know for sure we've made a decision of the Oleon area, because that area, I have told them, and what we are trying to do is to get the DCA and the Ministry of Planning to adjust some of its requirements, because to rationalize Oleon, I mean, you have houses almost where the water from one galvanized falls on the other one. And so what we want to do is to just measure the areas where the houses are and to be able to give the people title for these lands. Because in a lot of areas, you cannot put all of the infrastructure that is required to be able to fully develop the sites. And in our rationalization plan, we have to do some catering for that. What I want to assure the people of St. Lucia, now that we are getting these problems resolved, the good thing about this project is that the profits that would be derived from these projects would now be used to cross-subsidize a lot of the other things we need to do, so we don't have to wait on the government. In fact, I have proposed to the Prime Minister that we do a CIP program specifically geared towards housing and rationalization of all squatter areas. We cannot wait on the pace at which Proud is moving. It will never happen. You look at what NHC has been able to do with the Talvan squatter area 1 and 2 is more than what Proud has done in a long time. So,
That's true.
If we get private, and that's what we tried to do in Opicon, because there is a lot of undeveloped land, we want a developer to come in, go with us, rationalize, survey for the people, and then the lots that can be sold, we will sell and we will offset the price. That's the kind of arrangements that we are going into. I cannot say for the Grand Ravine area, I don't have a request on this as we speak, but that is something that I am sure the UWP candidate for down there will look into, because it's unfortunate that Labour has been there for all these years and have not done anything for the people.
All right, caller, anything else?
Yeah, what you are saying about the overcrowding is the same thing that's happening at Active Hill in Leclerc, and that's why this thing has it has actually regressed rather than progressed in Active Hill, and that is an issue.
And as you said that, caller, I just recall there was a whole set of lots that was assigned years ago in the Karili at the lower part, never been utilized. As we speak, the minister
area and then the Active Hill area, there was these lots were assigned as well, but nothing happened after that. When Mr. King, when the government went out, when the UWP government went out of office, nothing happened.
So I know there are about 12 or 14 lots at the Karili development that have been assigned to various persons, and they're in the process of making arrangements to pay for these lots. So if we put a package together, I know that we are well over 1,000 lots overall. That is outside of any private developer.
That's right. That's right. And that would be good to provide that kind of information to the St. Lucian people.
That's right.
There was something else. There was something else I wanted to talk about. There's a rumor going on from the Trois-Pitons area. The road that's been reconstructed there. I am hearing that some gentleman is going around saying that his entrance has been blocked by a wall, and it's been about a month, and he cannot drive out of his driveway. I don't know how much truth there is to that. I'm just asking, do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything?
No. So I went in there. It's a small concrete road that is built there. When I went there, they had done the preparation for casting, and I saw, I think it was a white Toyota 14-seater parked on the inside. And I asked, but why isn't that? Because I know usually people engage and they are informed that they need to move their vehicle. If you put in concrete, the road is closed for a period of time. And I was informed by the residents in the area that that vehicle is not in working condition, so that's not an issue. I cannot see there's any wall that is built along that area that can prevent a bus from coming out. And I don't think anybody is crazy enough, any of the engineers or the people building the roads, because all the contracts were executed by the residents living in that area. That continues to be the method of operation of the Labour Party candidate in this area, to find fault with everything. You saw what they found with, I have the pictures of all of the farmers that I met with in Guaboa before we did that piece of farm road going into Sarot, which is the road they said going to nowhere. And the farmers plan to respond to this thing, because the Labour Party is going and find people. I don't know if they're paying them to come and say the things that they are saying, but these things can easily be verified.
Well, what I think you should do is to engage the farmers in a recording and play that recording on your program. And also some photographs should be taken of that area and put it on the program, because what's happening is that people, it becomes very easy for people to believe lies rather than the truth.
Every day.
If you tell a lie over and over and over, people begin to believe that is the truth.
That is true.
The Labour Party is behaving like, the head of the Labour Party is behaving like Trump. And the rest of the Labour Party is behaving like Trump, the trumpets. So you have a head of the Labour Party that's behaving like Trump, and his followers are trumpets. The rest of the Labour Party is trumpets.
Caller, if I may,
all Trump has,
if I may add,
Trump has to do is to blow.
Go ahead, caller, and then we'll let Mr. Mangal respond.
All Trump has to do is to blow, and then the rest of the trumpets will sing the tune. They just sing to the tune.
All right.
So
in addition,
we have to expose them.
In addition to what the minister said.
Okay, thanks a lot, caller.
Whereas I have not been to the site in Trois-Pitons, but by just looking at this thing on television, the road was simply elevated by about 5 inches because of the concrete. So if the gentleman really wanted to get out, all he has to do is just take a few barrows of some excavated material, some quarry waste, and just put over the edge and just drive out.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
4560931 callers or 4850931. We have a limited time for calls, so we could just take a few calls. 4560931 or 4850931. Mr. Mangal, I'm so happy that you gave St. Lucia all of the details regarding the foreign companies that came in, and nothing was done.
If our television people are following, I just sent some photos there. I don't know if they can get it uploaded now, of the meeting that I had with the farmers months before we tackled that road in the Sarot Sandife area. So if you can get these pictures up, we can always highlight it on the screen so that persons can see the number of farmers that are in that area.
Yeah. Special good evening to you. Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead, sir. We could hear you.
Yeah, I would like to address this call to the minister. Honorable Minister.
Yeah.
Evening. I heard you mention about all lands, but how about the farmlands? What are you all doing about it?
No, that project is part of the Proud project that is being undertaken.
Hello?
You following me, caller?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, so they were doing something with the pipe work and some other things. But POM is under one of the projects. You have POM. I think they are at Larry Shoes now in Viewfort. And unlike what they say, we work all around. They are doing works. I think they were supposed to be in the Lacqua area. I know there's a project ongoing in Larry Shoes as we speak on the Proud, and there are two projects going on, one in Sandife and one in the Bexon proper area. So we have 4 projects going on under the Proud program as we speak.
But, Honorable Minister, do you know how soon they'll be at Pomosi?
I cannot give you a definite date and time, but I can always find out from the department and give you a response on it.
I guess you have picked up that voice, but I just wanted to inquire.
Okay, no problem.
I can tell you when I can, so this is why I decided to call you on the show now.
Okay.
You know that voice, Mr. Mangal knows that voice.
I'm still trying to figure out.
Guy, that's Eden.
Who?
That's Eden.
Oh, Mr. Ligra. All right. Okay. now, yes. I know that entire area is down for rationalization, definitely, because we want to make sure that everybody has title. I have spoken to the parliamentary rep of the area in the person, I think that's on the Alva Baptist side. I have had discussions with Dr. Anthony about works ongoing in the Larishus area, and I have had discussions with Honorable Moses Jabatis on the works that will be taking place in his area, in the Opicon area. So we have engaged the opposition MPs in terms of what is happening in the areas. And my department actually went out to meet with the community along with the parliamentary reps in the area so that they could be kept abreast of what the plans were and what would be happening.
All right, caller. Thanks a lot. Have a good night. Beautiful. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Champagne. Good evening, Mr. Guy.
Good evening.
And good night, Mr. Mangal.
Good evening.
Okay. Castries is in the house.
That's what it is all the time.
Yes. Now, I heard Mr. Guy talking about all them housing scheme everywhere. So what about by the old Rockall school? So why they don't build a housing scheme there for? Because I need a house too.
So the plan for Rock Hall is to build some multi-family units, almost like the CDC block, going to have a number of different houses in one single block. Okay. That is where the old Rock Hall school was. My understanding is when we had done the initial assessment of it, they had to do some additional tests to know, since they had land movement in areas not able to do some of these projects. And that is why I believe that the PPP arrangements, public-private partnership, is the way to go to get a lot of these projects off the ground.
All right, caller.
Well, if anything, Champagne first person to put his mind in. Okay? And Mr. Guy.
All right, I will remember you. I will remind them.
And Champagne to add, the good
Okay,
thing,
thanks a lot, caller. Have a good one.
The good thing about this multi-family residential
Good evening, sir.
units,
Hold on a minute, caller. Go ahead.
yes, is that what the minister did say? Those units will not only be available for rental, but they will be available for sale under either the Condominium Act or some new legislation that allows a block and parcel number to be identified as a vertical or horizontal floor space.
All right. Thanks for holding, caller. Good evening. Hello. Good evening.
You're very most welcome, sir. How you all doing on the radio there, gentlemen?
We're doing good, thank God, thank you.
Honorable Guy Joseph, the rest of you gentlemen. I have one idea. I've been moving around, going around Castries, New Village, Rock Hall, Marshall, most of the places, right? And there are so many deteriorated houses around the Castries area, the
Yes, Colin.
surrounding of Castries. I don't know if we could have this thing organized where there's a department in the government who could look over these things. Like you find out the owner of the house, whatever, and it could be refixed or built and rent and make back the money, and then the owners can own it and the place will be new again. But there are so many places, Independent City, they have a few houses, people were cherishing the house so much, but there are a few of them that are deteriorating. I feel we should have a department in the government that could look over these things, and let's get the surrounding of Castries built up nicely and clean.
Paula, I agree with you 100%.
100%.
More so, government has not led a good example because government themselves have so many abandoned buildings. And you know what I have said? Government, every abandoned building government has that is being there and going to waste, they should give it to people under a lease, a peppercorn rent, to say, okay, you start, if you can show me you have a business plan, you can start a business, you renovate a section of the building and you get it rent-free to cover the time. But government should not have properties. Now, if government have properties that are line waste, how can they go to private people and say you should not have abandoned buildings? But that is why in our renewal plan for Castries, so you take where the treasury is and where the parliament building is. That entire section of the building, other than where the parliament is and the downstairs, is abandoned. The entire courthouse is abandoned. But when the prime minister says that, look here, all these derelict buildings that we cannot do anything with, you spend money this year, next year you have to spend again. We should let the city breathe. And the Labour Party is up in arms that you cannot knock down. So no wonder when you pass in their constituencies, you see so many old abandoned buildings.
Caller, how well you know the Chaussee Road?
Oh my God,
You remember Last Wagon restaurant right there opposite Leslieland? You see the mess this place is? And the old Elwin warehouse, you see this place?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And you know another one again? The old La Toc, the madhouse over there, that location over there over the ocean. This thing, you can make a beautiful
hotel.
Building right over the
Beautiful hotel.
We definitely have plans.
I walk around and I couldn't believe we have this solid sculpture there and we can do nothing about it.
Well, remember, caller, the issue is that of financing. And if you go, so if, for example, you go into a private arrangement, look at how long the building known as the Dyer Mall was abandoned.
Right.
When the UWP was in government previously, we started the process of redeveloping that building through Amazona Properties. The Labour Party came into office, abandoned everything, went and took a big loan, paid off the bank, and left the building there to waste. It had to take a UWP government coming back into office again, and it took us years to negotiate. Now we have negotiated a new arrangement where government is going to own the 2 floors on the top of the building and the ground floor will be owned by somebody else. The pictures being shown on the screen through your caller, these were the farmers that I met with in the area. You see the number of people who are there. That's the road they said I built going to nowhere. That grader there was paid by the farmers themselves.
That's right.
Doing a self-help project. When a Labour Party candidate wanting to represent Castries Southeast will call all of these or get people to go and carry out stories to say that all these people, that road is going to nowhere.
Don't worry about them. These are the Malpalaras and the Putipamalas.
Yes, the Malpalaras.
Yes, the Putipamalas and the Malpalaras.
I never heard that one before.
One thing, I always say that, and I'll say it over and over. I said that to a gentleman when I started halfway, he cut me off, right? But he didn't understand me. I called back. The St. Lucia United Workers' Party
Yes.
has not done enough to win the next election.
You
I
said
said
that,
that
hold
they
on.
put me up, but they didn't listen to the rest. But they have done quite enough to stay in power.
Okay. Okay.
We don't need election, man. We have already won. Mr. Guy Joseph, gentlemen on the radio there.
Yes, sir.
Have a wonderful evening.
You as well, my
Thank you.
friend.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Beautiful.
I want them to run these pictures again for me,
Yes,
Champagne,
okay,
because
definitely.
I want people to see the number of farmers. And Guambua is one of the areas where you have high production of farming. And all of these people invited me to a meeting to discuss with them the condition of their road. You telling me as parliamentary rep I should not respond to these farmers?
Exactly.
The needs of these farmers are more roads to build there for the
for
farmers,
sure,
you
for
know.
sure.
You see, after the next election, is then they will see roads that
then,
go
yeah,
into
so
nowhere.
they have not seen roads.
Because if they call farms
Yeah.
nowhere, then they have a lot of roads to see. And I know Herod is building. I know Edmund Estefan. I know Ezekiel Joseph. All of us,
Everyone
the
is
reps,
building.
Gil,
Yes.
everybody
Yeah.
would be building roads for the farmers. The same people who say we too much on tourism, we should go back to agriculture.
Yeah.
Today they are telling you
yeah.
the farmers' roads go into nowhere.
Yeah. Thanks for holding, caller. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for holding.
Okay, that's not a problem. Good evening, Mr. Minister, Mr. Mangao.
Good evening.
Watching the program, very interesting, I must say. I
Thank you.
love you all. Continue doing the work that you all are doing.
Thank you,
Let the opposition try and put their house in order, because they will never in their life accomplish what you all are doing right now. St. Lucia is never good under the Labour Party hand. Never. History shows it. Statistics have it. They will never. And I pray to God that the people, the voters, their eyes are open. They can see what is happening in the country and allow you all another term to develop St. Lucia. They were quarreling about COVID, and COVID, he less said that the French people are afraid of St. Lucia because of COVID. Right now, it's we St. Lucia that is afraid of the French people because we are handling the COVID so well. Thanks be to God. Glory be unto you all. I will keep you all in our prayers. Work as much as you all can for the betterment of this country and the population. We
Thank
all
you.
know what the world is going through.
Thank you so much,
All right,
caller.
caller. Thanks a lot.
And keep on doing what you all are doing. And I am so happy that you mentioned something is going to be happening in Castries. Is shame on Philip J. Pierre. I heard you mention Rock Hall. I never heard
Not
him
just
mention
Rock Hall,
anything.
the Bacatel lands that he never dealt with for the people. We under UWP government, we will give the people title to their land.
That's right.
You don't
That's
know
right.
to say, because that is my area.
Okay.
And I can say shame on him.
Yeah.
25
He knows
years and
that.
he wants to lead the country. Not a nail that was driven in Bacatel from the time Romanus Lansico died.
Yeah.
The only thing he did, up to Sunday, I was speaking to two young boys in the area, and they're telling me they haven't seen that man done anything for the area in Jerusalem. Two young children, a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Yeah, caller, he has gotten to the end of the road.
Spoke to them. Shame on him.
Yeah.
Keep on doing what you are doing too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, caller. Have a good one. Beautiful. Hello, good evening. Thanks for holding.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello,
Go ahead,
Hello.
sir. We could hear you.
campaign.
We Makatanu, go ahead.
Say Mr. Roy, party you have, Mr.
Eh ben, on s'est dit, yo.
Mr. Roy,
Mr. Roy, bonsoir.
Campaign,
Oui,
good night for,
oui, merci. Vous tout.
good night for Minister of Law.
Good night, sir.
Good night for Boss Moy Mangal, Mofi Mangal.
So, comment bon on y a tout droit? On y
Moi, je l'ai écouté le programme, je l'ai regardé, il y a un problème. Et moi, je continue à dire que je l'ai écouté. Ouais, le programme ça, et moi, ouais, des coques naturels qui sont là,
Oui,
c'est des mauvais coques.
des mots. Oui, oui. So c'est pas pièce coq paille.
Oui, because moi ça do.
Mhm.
C'est des mauvais coq qui là.
Oui.
Et yo pas ni am agi.
Mhm.
Le yo pas parler. Yo pas parler à lui après tout ba yo host ya pas parler. Yes am. Et moi apprécier ça 100 et 100%. Et nga ma de coup ça, moi non Scott Gavin. Moi non Scott et moi. When Timothy Mangal Mr. Gaïdole.
Hein.
Et nous préparons.
Comment est-ce qu'il y a un squad ça?
Elle m'a raconté
So, Mr. Roy, Champagne, où ça? Mr. Roy, c'était cher là-bas.
Oui.
La partie dit, les gal dit, Roy qui vite support moi, mais dit gal là, même si un bout qui vite support moi.
Pas Roy.
Pas Roy.
Et que ça veut faire, Mr. Champagne? Meeting là, ici, qu'elle tenait, Babono. Moi, dis compagnie Roy. Je vais venir, les autres aller, mettez chemise flambeau, et puis just faire monsieur Guy, wear that case of meeting là.
Oui.
Vous savez, ça, qui est Mr. Guy, qui est là, tout foutu dans le
Il passe à quoi ce
il
bouc là?
passe à quoi ce bouc ça là? Qui ça veut faire?
Oui.
Pour mener ce bouc ça.
Oui.
Ça m'a dit encore. Pourquoi est-ce que Vincent est avec mon madame? Et là, il y a un jour, votre cas croisé.
Ça a fait.
Votre croisé, soit dit, c'est madame qui a monté alors.
Il a fait.
Moi, de moi, je viens de moi, si votre soutien est capable de moi, c'est capable de moi, vous faites mal, c'est pour dire, moi, merci. Bonsoir.
Eh bien, merci. Okay, Mr. Roy.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've heard the story of Mr. Roy.
Yeah, so Champagne will have to be rounding off. It's getting
You're taking
very
how many
late.
more? We're taking one more, this last one or two
Yeah.
more? We'll do the last one? Okay, beautiful. Hello, good evening.
Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night to you.
Sir, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, my friend.
What I want to ask, why with all what I've said there, I hope you give Riani Isidore and Christian Lionel work to do. They have enough to talk about now.
Oh, they'll spin it, caller.
Sorry?
They will spin what was said tonight, trust me.
Spain, there's nothing.
Well, trust me, there's nothing that they can't spin, but they will find a way to spin, if you understand what I'm
They
saying.
have enough to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so I hope they will talk about that now.
The good thing for me, caller, is what the information I heard tonight, because these guys continue to talk about the free apps. I will ask Mr. Mongal to send me that information, and I will continue to lament it here on this station.
You see, caller, on this program and on this radio station, we present the facts.
Yes, that's right.
That's not even opinions that we have given them. The facts speak for itself. And that's why I had Mr. Mangal to come with me. And we'll come back, because they have other things we have to deal with that we have not dealt with. We have not dealt with what is happening with COVID and the construction sector and how it is impacting negatively, how the cost of construction has gone up. Yet still all of the contracts that was negotiated, the prices have not changed.
That's right.
The projects are being implemented because a lot of accusations have gone against Mr. Mangal and Fresta
Yeah.
because we have two local businessmen coming together to do things for the benefit of St.
That's right.
Lucia.
That's right.
I mean, look at what we are doing at St. Jude. Mangal was a supplier for things. Bryce was a supplier. Caribbean Metals a supplier. All the different companies,
All local.
local companies we engage in to supply the goods that we need. But you find the Labour Party will fight every day because they like the foreigners
That's
more
right.
than we do.
That's right.
And
Because-
Champagne, we have to
That's right.
find, we have to find the finance
You have to.
to,
Yes.
to do it. So we have local capacity.
Yes.
That kind.
You still there, caller?
Yes, I just don't understand how a young person who is looking for a future could let Labour Party
I don't understand it
make
myself,
up their
caller.
mind for them.
I don't understand it
That is
myself.
absurd. You understand?
I don't understand
I
it.
don't understand that.
Me neither.
Your siblings who are so brilliant, who have so much things, I just do not know what are they
I don't know.
Oh, thanks very much for this.
All right, caller. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You have a good evening. The last one, Mr. Minister. Hello, good evening. Good
Hi,
evening.
good evening, Mr. Champagne and Mr. Mangal.
Good evening, sir.
There's a couple of things I'd like to ask. I noticed there are a few houses going up on the where what used to be the nurses' home in the area in the
Fuasho.
well, in fact that's not Fuasho. No, that's Banan.
Banan, that's
area.
right. Banan, yes.
I also noticed in traversing the road there that somebody almost on the sidewalk is actually changing the structure into concrete.
I've seen that too, caller.
So I just wanted to get there's another question on top. I just wanted to hear something from the minister concerning that. What is going on? Because I'm seeing a lot of houses are going up there.
I'm not aware of what you are saying there, caller. That is something I may have to look into.
A piece of
Now
concrete.
remember, I'm Minister for Housing, not for planning. So there's a separation in terms of the duties.
Yeah, that's why I was going to ask the caller if he's. I don't know if he has that information, but would it be private individuals building those houses on private property or government property?
Well,
Well,
under
you
the
see,
system.
that is what I want to understand because this is under where the hospital is, so it's looking like
Right
it
there.
could be
Yeah.
squatters because
So-
they're building
Yeah, so-
wooden structures. But there's one of them that is close to the road, which is now being transformed into a concrete structure. And that has been going on there for the last few days. So that's
Yeah,
why,
so-
if you're not aware, Mr. Minister, then at least I'm telling you now so that you can look into it to if they have to arrest anything there going on there, because I understand there's a lot of plans for that area, but if this is going to happen there, then this is going to cause problems. So it has to be stopped before it
Yeah. So, caller, that would fall under, like the minister said, under the Ministry of Planning, the Development Control Authority. So I'm sure someone might be listening, or of course someone must be notified so they could check the area, serve the necessary stop notices, because the law of St. Lucia is that no one is supposed to be building any residential or any project without the approval of the Development Control Authority. Planning. So if they do not have approval, then the DCA should step in and look into this matter.
And it's right there in the
Well, I
open.
hope at least one of you all there that that's supposed to have some kind of clout can probably look into that.
Now, caller, I want to stay with you because this is what has happened on the old cemetery there at next to the Beaufort bus stop. You understand? One house came, no one said anything. The second house came, and there's no tombs there right now. There's not a single grave.
There are tombs.
They are, but they're built on top of them. There are homes on top of some of them. Yeah. Thanks a lot, caller.
Exactly. So that's a serious. Hold on. One
Okay.
second, just last.
Yeah, go ahead.
With all the housing projects, the minister spoke about it. That seemed to have been vouched up by the party. I didn't hear the minister mention anything about who was the minister in charge at that time, and what can be done. What kind of, because I cannot understand how the country's monies could be mismanaged at such a
huge scale.
I mean, I don't even have words to explain that. And then there is nobody being held accountable. I mean, what is going on? The kind of thing I'm hearing there.
No, but caller, who was in charge? Philip J. Pierre and Kenny Anthony. One was prime minister, one was deputy. It happened under their watch, and people want to revert to these persons. How many times does someone have to fail you for you to realize that you cannot depend on that person?
But Mr. Minister, the problem is that since there is no penalty, if there is no penalty for doing wrong, then the people are there all the time.
No, but listen, being in government affords you certain privileges, certain rights, because it is not, when you have people tell you, oh, Minister Sakai Prelajol, this, that, things are not as simple as it looks. These things don't happen just like that. So, if I decide to buy a vehicle for $100,000, even if the vehicle was worth $60,000, the fact that I agreed to buy it for that price and I paid that price for it, can somebody say that I should not have bought that vehicle? They can say that. But is it wrong to buy the vehicle for that price? So you had a government that was qualified in mismanagement. There's a Ramsahoy report that was done prior to 2011. The people of St. Lucia still went back and put them in charge. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
Well, I think we need, I think somewhere along the line.
And put them in charge again, and you will see what will happen.
Yeah.
You see, that is the problem that we are having. When a man has done so many things that's detrimental to the country, you take him and you put him in charge again. And you expect he will do better?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kola, we didn't have Sky FM at the time. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, anyway, something needs to be done about it, Mr. Minister, and you have the power because you are in charge of policy. So something needs to be done to change policy for there to be greater accountability because the citizens of St. Lucia are paying for it,
Yeah.
and we need to change things around. So something has to be done because I'm tired of all what I'm hearing there.
Yes.
All right, good night.
All right, Kola, thanks a lot. Beautiful. All right.
Okay, Champagne,
So we have come to
I
the
see
end.
you want us to go all night.
Look, I have calls coming in. Now you see, both of the lines swinging. So what we're going to do?
All right, take the one
Take
and,
this one?
yes, and then we end. After
Hello.
that, no more.
Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good evening, Champagne.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Minister, good evening, Mr.
Good
Mangal,
evening.
Good evening, sir.
Ou tèt pou kouye oswe, ay sou pa te kouye program la pa a fini.
Oui.
Mr. Minister, all along, Mr. Minister, I never realized, Mr. Minister, that you have done so much work where housing is concerned. Because, to be honest with you, Mr. Minister, I know I'm the Forestier project, and I realize the shock one is coming on stream. But I hear all the rara with Madam, what's her name? In Babono. The lady that coming against Ezekiel.
Oh, we don't even mention this.
Yeah, we don't remember the name.
Serious. I hear all that accusation about that land in
Talban.
Talban. But Mr. Minister, I want to ask you a question tonight, Mr. Minister. Did you go somewhere overseas and see these things and come back in St. Lucia and implement them? Because what I watched in there tonight is amazing. I cannot believe that. I know you have the talent, you have potential, but I never know that you are so talented, Mr. Minister.
No, so I give the credit where the credit is due. We have a great board at NHC. Mr. Mangal went in there and set the platform. And that is why a number of persons wanted to head NHC. People will tell you, oh, Mangal went there and they fire him and this and that. We had an agreement. I asked him to stay an extra year because I expected we would have been able to resolve all the challenges that we had at NHC because he is more valuable as a developer than sitting there as the chairman of NHC. Correct. What do you think the chairman getting? $1,000 a month for the kind of work that you have to do as chairman of NHC? And using his own expertise, most of the things you see there, that was developed because remember, he's an architect by profession. He worked at the Ministry of Planning. He's a developer. He's a contractor. It's a combination. So what I tell people is when I appoint people to a board, I look around and I ask my colleagues in cabinet to give me the support. When the 2 years that Mr. Mangal was supposed to spend in the 3 years ended, I said, no. A lot of the things are not closed off yet. So he stayed an extra 6 months to help us get through. Then you heard they say, oh, Mangal and Guy fire Mangal. I never, if Mangal did not want to leave, he would still have been chairman of NHC. And we might have accomplished even more. But we have a very good chairman now who was the deputy chair at the time in the person of Mr. Rufinus Baptist, who was a former commissioner of Crown Lands. And he, along with the board, they are doing a great job. So we put in a board that is result-oriented. And despite all the difficulties that we have encountered, we've still been able, we did not accomplish anything close to what I wanted to accomplish. But I believe that we are on track. So by the next term in government, everything would be flowing and people would see houses coming up everywhere in St. Lucia, because that is what we are focused on.
Yeah. And if I may add, Champagne.
Mr. Minister.
I give you 1 more minute, Mr. Caller.
No problem.
All right.
Mr. Minister, I had the privilege of the road that they're saying is going nowhere, Mr. Minister. I had the privilege to go and pick up something in the last house. You see the last house? Where the guy was continuing the train, going down the hill. So I had a labor fellow with me. And when that guy heard that they say that road is going nowhere, that guy told me he can never support labor in his life again, because
we give him the bell.
Some mad fellas that is running against the UWP. And
they
I
have
can
no
tell you,
clue,
Mr. Minister, moi à suicide. Et puis, moi qu'à suivre vous, et puis, moi v'lou.
Mais Herod ou pas vote en cas Swiss office.
Gata, behave cow, moi qu'à vote by UWP. Mr. Minister, moi l'on fait 15 years. Minister ici, manière avec l'opinion, aller où ça a fait. Alec, retire, I enjoy from you.
Oui.
Good night.
Okay, very beautiful.
Champagne, if I may add from what the minister said, right? When the minister came,
that one off, but that one on somebody there.
When the minister came to me and asked me to be the chairman of NHC, I had to think of this hard, because accepting to be chairman of NHC, you know how much I sacrifice, and that's why people tell you, oh, he's going in there to profit himself. I'm happy the minister said how much I was making, $1,000 a month. And you know what I gave up to make $1,000 a month? I had to put on my own private development on pause, on hold. I had houses building in Marigo. I stopped them. I had all those plans you see that I developed for NHC. I could have developed them for myself, privately. I could have profited from it privately. But I got to the point where I said, no, let me put country before self.
That's right.
It is not about myself. So let me, my country has given birth to me. Let me give back to what is my country. They've trained me.
I love that you said that.
So I spoke to the minister. I said, Mr. Minister, this is a lot that you're asking of me. But I will take on the sacrifice. I will go in at NHC. I will do my best. And I will set the platform and the pace. So I'm going to give you 3 years, which is the first term on the board. And after that 3 years, I will leave. I mean, my other business friends and so on, for that I was crazy. They went to the minister and said, you know this enormous sacrifice that this man is doing. Because, I mean, you could know how much more I could make in my private development.
That's right.
You know? So when the 3 years came up, and like the minister said, we were still at certain crucial points. I went to the minister, I said, well, you know, I have to leave. And he says to me, no, I'm not going to let you go. Okay? I need you there to complete and to do certain other certain transactions.
For country.
And I decided, all right, I would say 6 more months. The board was extended for 6 months to make that accommodation. And at that point, I gracefully decided to leave. Okay? Not on any bad term with the minister. Like the minister said, I could have been chairman today. Right? But I have to give certain to the country, and I also believe that even outside of NHC, I have a lot more that I can contribute in housing to the development of St. Lucia. Look at the private projects. I can now participate in the PPP projects and make some vital contributions.
So you and I are under the same way. You help your country, and I'm helping. You didn't get paid. I'm helping my country, and I'm not getting paid. So we're under the same.
And yet still, we have been criticized for doing so.
Oh, they want to kill me every day. Caller, you are the final caller for our night. Good night. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening to you, sir.
when I heard Cabot had paid off that loan,
Mm-hmm.
you know who came to my mind? Madri.
Mm-hmm.
These guys use Madri as a political football.
Oh, yeah. They did.
They kicked her out of the playing field and they left her there on her own.
Mm-hmm.
These guys will pay for that.
They have to.
You cannot use poor people the same Malawi they talk about. Madri is a Malawi, you know. Inside she has a restaurant, she's a Malawi.
Mm-hmm.
You'll deprive her of maybe a pension because she's self-employed. You'll deprive her of a pension. You'll deprive her of making a profit on her business, improving on her business for your political gain.
Can you believe it? These people are wicked people, Kola. Wicked people.
I want to know when again they will go and have lunch.
Lunch? Lunch?
When? And all of those who are jumping up by the Jack Beach's mind.
Lunch?
Up to now, Jack Beach is still there.
Lunch? Thanks a lot, Kola.
Up to now, Jack Beach is still there.
Jack is there.
God is good.
God is always good. Thanks a lot, my friend. All right, St. Lucia, we have come to the end of the call-in period, and the minister, any last words, Mr. Minister? Okay.
What I would like to say, that I am a patriotic St. Lucian.
Yes, sir.
I believe in my country. I believe in putting country first. I believe that this country has been directly involved in my personal development.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I was born. This is where I raised. This is where I was trained. I did my education and so on. And this is where I will make my contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And I am doing so, and I will continue to do so without fear and favor, whether I do it in the public sector or I do it in the private sector. So all the criticisms that may come, okay, despite the criticisms will come, I will continue to uphold my hand and to live up to the challenge whenever this government calls upon me to make a contribution to my country. Mm-hmm. I will also do so. In my private business, I will also continue to uphold the cause and to make a contribution to this country and to the development of the people of this country. And that is why I will be coming back here together with the owner of Fresh Start.
That's right.
So all of the sayings you're hearing on the talk shows and you're seeing checks being put up and you're seeing director's name and all those stuff being put up, we will get to the bottom of that.
Yes, sir.
We're going to get to the bottom of that because I can tell you, you see the model that we have developed between those two local companies in Fresh Start and Marigo Buildings Depot. This ought to be promoted. This ought to be emulated. And we need to have more St. Lucian companies being empowered to do the same thing. For too long, we have relied on foreign entities.
All the time.
Foreign companies. Give them all what we earn. Give them massive cost overruns. And what do? They repatriate everything that we earn overseas.
That's
We
right.
get nothing more from it. When you invest in a Fresh Start, when you invest in a Total Construction, when you invest in a Renault, when you invest in any of those local companies, you are investing in the development of your people.
That's right.
You are investing in the development of St. Lucia, and by extension, St. Lucia and all St. Lucians benefit.
Amen.
If Marigo Building Depot, if Fresh Start makes $1 tomorrow, they will be empowered to reinvest it in St. Lucia. When I make $1, I put it back into
That's
housing. I put it back into something in St. Lucia. When Reno makes $1, he does the same thing. When Nationwide makes $1, the same happens. When Fresh Start makes $1, the same happens.
Amen.
But when Lagan makes $1, it goes overseas.
That's right.
When CCI, DWE, all of them. So we need this thing about us St. Lucian, embracing the foreigner. And then the very same thing, this is all that St. Lucian companies are asking for. No more. That we must be given the same treatment. Yet still our own people and our own talk show hosts for their own purposes will find all kind of fault with local companies developing in their country and developing for the purpose of St. Lucia. I say we need to stop.
Can you believe
and we need to stop we need to support our people. And I am one. I can be the sacrificial lamb. I do not care what is being said about me or my company and so on. Whatever I can do, I am not doing anything illegal. I am doing it for the development of this country, St. Lucia, and its people, and I will continue to do it. Again, like I said, bravo to this government. I like what they're doing, and I will be of support to them in ensuring that the mandate and the things they have promised to do for this country will be done and will be delivered to the people of St. Lucia.
So the program we're going to have with yourself and Mr. Peter Finiston, that has to be on TV as well. So
yes,
you're going to be coming with documents.
Yes, we will ask.
So
I will ask GVD.
Okay, beautiful. All right, great.
Yes.
I really want to thank Mr. Mangal for coming with me tonight inside Castries Southeast. He is from Castries Southeast.
Yeah.
Fresh Start is from Castries Southeast also. We grew up in neighboring communities. We played cricket together. We've been friends from kids growing up to now. And sometimes people, but the good thing is we all respect each other. Mangal is into his business. Fresh Start is into his business. I am into politics. At the end of the day, people think that because you become a politician, you cannot associate with the people that you used to associate. Now, I want to ask the people of St. Lucia, both here and abroad, if this government had gone into an arrangement with Mangal, or with Fresh Start, or with Bryce and Company, or with Nationwide, or with Skelly's Construction, any one of them, and we had given them any of these deals that we highlighted here. So if we had given them that development in Talvan and said to them, you have title to all these lands there, and when you have sold 60% of the houses, then you can begin the construction. What would they say? Is a bobble. Guy give it to one of his friends. It is his project. He made money on it. If we had done what was done in Rivadori, where we transfer 51% of the land to, let's say, to Mangal. So I transferred that to him. All of a sudden they would tell you, Pamaini, Mangal pe lahasa side professor. Isn't that what you would hear?
Of course, every day.
So, what do we think happened? Who is for the local and who is for the foreigner? Now, when you do things with the foreigner outside, who talking? But Mangal and I were friends before politics. We were on opposite sides of the political arena. Did you ever hear him come and say, hey, gaite fe bol sek mwe, ebe mwe te fe? You would not hear that because we operated above board. And that is what I want the people of St. Lucia to open their eyes and see what is happening. The talk shows can talk all what they want. The facts do not lie. I read a document. That is what the information that was given to me. That is what I inherited when I came in with NHC Bo. We've not even finished paying the property was going up for auction. We had to go back and negotiate with the gentleman and say to him, please don't. And you know, if the property had gone for auction, I can tell you the deposit on it was about 89,000 or something. So anybody going to the auction, and I know some of the people who had their checks cut out already and going to the auction. And you know, if they had agreed to pay $3 million for the land, and they had accepted that, the government would still have to go and find the other 3-point-something million to pay before. And then we would have nothing for that. That is what the Labour Party left. And if any St. Lucian is crazy enough to go and put these fellas back into government, I hope that there will be a time when we will be able to get out. Because it's not by accident they list the entire seabed. It's not by accident they gave Robert Ainsworth the right to mine any mineral that he would find in the 4,000 acres of land that the Labour Party cabinet had agreed to sell to him, or to give or to lease, because it had all the options. Today we are working with our local people, and I am proud of what Total Construction Supplies has done. Marigo Building Depot, what he has done. I am proud when I see a local St. Lucian having a business that can compete with any foreign business that is established in St. Lucia. I am proud when I see a St. Lucian contractor can divide, develop, and present projects to St. Lucia that is equivalent to any international contractor. You know what happened when the Labour Party was there and it started under UWP government? When they had to build the financial center building, who they gave it to? A Trinidadian company with our NIC money. So the profit that was made, did it stay in St. Lucia? No. So I am proud. And if it means that the people don't want us to support St. Lucians, and is the Labour Party they want, then they will make their choice. Election is not too far away. Can be up to 6 months maximum from now. They will have that choice to make. But I know that a UWP government will continue to push all St. Lucians in the process of building a new St. Lucia. And Castries Southeast will remain in good hands with the United Workers' Party. Thank you,
Champagne. Just before we go, that message just came in, and if you may permit me to
of course, go ahead.
Sure.
That's from the acting managing director of the National Housing Corporation, and she says, "This was such a relevant and well put together presentation to counter all the misinformation being circulated.
Yes.
With globalization, force majeure, and all the pedestal environments that we must strive to survive, the government of St. Lucia and the UWP administration has done brilliantly in risk mitigation and making decisions for all status of the citizenry and of St. Lucia by embracing new technology in land development and housing."
Wow, beautiful.
That's coming from the acting managing director of the National Housing Corporation.
Now, Mr. Minister, before we leave, we have never seen, and I've been, listen to me, I have some years on my head. I've been involved with the politics for a long time. We have never seen, not a single administration been able to do so much in such a short space of time. Not in roads, not in housing, not in anything. Even the great Sir John, and I've made that comparison here. Sir John did great. But in this short space of time, no other administration has done what this one has done. None.
And I can tell you, Champagne, had it not been for COVID, because even the challenges, and that's why I want Mangal to come back on the program with me, the challenges that we are having with St. Jude has more to do with procurement. You cannot procure, not even an electrical panel. You know how many, you know that boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal there. You know how much that set back business around the world?
1.8 billion a day.
We are trying to bring in, you know how much more we had to pay for material for St. Jude because of the present environment that we are in. When I call on him, he has to work magic to order things. The steel we needed to start St. Jude. Ask him, we had to get it from Turkey. He had to put out his own money up front to bring in material for us. So when people will go and attack, you think for any foreigner come in here and do that for you?
No, you have to give them that money.
Okay. But we like to pick on our own people in St. Lucia. So I will continue to support locals. I mean, I supported a few farmers in my area. What we spend, less than $1 million on a piece of road. You know what value that brought to the farmers in that area. And the Labour Party is opposed to that.
They will oppose it. They will oppose it.
Champagne, our time is gone.
All right, Mr. Minister, it's after 11. St. Lucia, thank you very much for tuning in into the program Inside Castries Southeast. And the minister has promised that Mr. Timothy Mangal will be back with us with some more documents, with some more surprises, some negative surprises, that is, and not just good surprises, negative surprises. Because what you heard tonight, it is something we have to talk about throughout all of this week, all of next week, months, yes, because we cannot understand a group of people continue to talk about the 3 Fs, friends, family, and foreigners, and they were the ones that did all of the family, the foreigners, all of the friends, and all of the families. We will continue to talk about it. Thank you very much, Lucia, for tuning in, and we will see you next Monday evening on the program Inside Castries Southeast. The rest of the programming for this evening, we're going to go right into the BBC. We hope you have a great evening, and always say thank you to the great God above. We will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good night.
It's definitely an obstacle for us to overcome the dire situation we're in right now.
My MP said that we would have a new wellness center. Here we are. It's almost finished.
My community said we needed a new wing to our secondary school. And my MP said yes.
My sister said she needed help to find a job, so my MP created a job fair.
Our athlete said we needed better sporting facilities.
A new early childhood development center.
My neighbors said.
My sister said.
The children said.
Community said. Roads and a new park. And my MP said.
Yes.
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 Of course.
Nous toutes, c'est yon famille en Micoud Nord. Et nous continuons pour faire progrès avec Antigale.
Crossfire, discussing the issues. Norbert Williams, Champagne, Dr. Secret, and Ring the Bell. Thursdays, 8 p.m. on Sky FM and GVD TV. Don't you miss it.